What's good, everyone? Alex Trataros here with another Jets episode of the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. And with me is always my buddy, my coach, my pal, the man with the plan, the guy who's the eternal optimist for the New York Jets. The Jets could do no wrong for this man. They could beat the living daylights out of him and come back saying, I love you, baby. It's all good. You know who it is. My man, the one and only John Meleka. John, how are you doing today, boy?
I'm good. I do have battered jet syndrome, but in fact, Mike White is in the Hall of Fame and he's starting this week. So I'm doing all right now. I'm doing all right. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. You know, getting ready for the week. I mean, we had our mini bye week ourselves from the Jets not playing since they played that Thursday night game against.
It feels so far away. That's what I'm saying.
Man.
You know what I mean?
Stretching and get the joints
feel bad right now, but I don't know. We don't have a safety. We'll get into all of it. So I don't feel as optimistic as I'm making it seem. I'm just ready to have fun. We're playing with house money, and I'm kind of ready to be in that position.
For sure. But you know what, John? We got a phenomenal guest with us today to go into some Jets material today, all right? We got the one and only Justin Frieden. Everybody, you should probably know who this guy is. Big fan sider, the editor for the Jet Press, all right? All those fire tweets that you see from the Jet Press, that is this man right here. On top of that, he's also the editor for the Ravens website, the Ebony Bird through Fansided, all right? And if you want to quote what he says on his Twitter bio, he doesn't know why he's verified. But Justin, we'll get down to the business of that. Don't worry, we're gonna figure that out for you. We got Justin Fried up here with us. Justin, how are you doing today?
Oh man, I'm doing great. I appreciate the warm welcome. You're too kind. I don't know why I'm verified. Twitter made a mistake. But I appreciate it. Also,
they did not.
I'm concerned for John. It sounds like you got some kind of abusive relationship going on with this team. We can get into that. I don't know, but I'm worried about you, man.
I went to London for this team. Like, what do I need more evidence? Like, what other evidence do I need? But we'll get into all that.
I think if you went to the Bengals game when it seemed like we were down and out, I would really have some true concerns. Like,
I could not go to that game.
I know you couldn't, but I would say if like you went to that game, I think we may have had to put you into like some sort of, group home for a little bit. Really had to.
That would have been the game of my life, though. Oh my God, Matt!
Oh my
God, that was such a good game to go to. I wish I was
That's
there.
the problem because they would have sucked you right back in with that game.
I'm in.
That's how it works with this team.
Justin.
They give you that. They give you a little bit of help, the little bit of hope, and then that's it.
For sure.
I was literally wearing a hope shirt before the Patriots game. And then once we came out the way we did, that's why I was out. You know what I'm saying? That's why I was like, all right. Like I really had no optimism there. And then, the Bengals and Mike White revived me. And then they, first drive, we were back. We were good to go. And they shot me right in the ring finger. And we can't even lift up Josh Johnson back off the practice squad. So, I mean, we're living and dying by Mike White this week. And we're versus the Bills, who just lost to Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer. I mean, if there's any time to beat a Bills team, it's right now. So, I don't know. I'm just excited to play with house money, like I said before.
For sure. And why don't we just get into it right now? So the Jets are playing the Buffalo Bills this week. As you mentioned, John, the Buffalo Bills lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was a disgusting game. Just even catching the glimpse of that game.
I rewatched it, dude. It was awful.
It was gross. It was gross. I don't know. I thought Jets games were bad to rewatch. That was just a game. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, it was bad.
You really see that the Buffalo Bills do not have anyone outside of Josh Allen. That's their only runner. That's their running back.
Zach Moss got hurt on like the first play. Not great. And then they were just left with Singletary, who I don't know. He's not very effective as a dual back. Nevertheless, his single back, it was just not good out there, man. And if Zach Moss doesn't play this week, I don't know.
The
plus 13, Justin, plus 13. I like plus 13. That's all I'm saying.
Justin, how do you feel about? Let's kick it off with you since you're a guest. How do you feel about the Jets, just from like a high level aspect? We'll go into offense and defense, but just from a high level aspect, how do you feel about the Jets entering this game against the Buffalo Bills?
I think, I mean, as an overall season, I think if you said they're going to be 2-6 at this point, most people would be like, yeah, that seems pretty reasonable. I think the way they've gotten to 2-6 is unorthodox, right? Of course, Mike White, no one saw that storyline coming. No one at least would have predicted, or at least hope not, that Zach Wilson would get injured. But 2-6, I think it's a fair spot for the team to be. Although I don't think most people would have said the offense would have been red hot going into week 10, and the defense would have been looking like one of the worst in football. But overall, I'm fine with where they are right now, because you have young guys like Elijah Moore and Michael Carter and Elijah Vera Tucker, looking very good. Pleased with obviously the cornerbacks, Bryce Hall, Michael Carter. Michael Carter's had a not great game against the Colts, but that can go for most of the defense.
Sure.
But overall, I'm content with how they are right now. I think a lot of it is just going to, a lot of the rest of the season is just going to depend on what happens at quarterback. And I can't sit here and pretend to predict like I know what's going to happen. I think I tweeted this out. For all we know, Mike White could get injured. Joe Flacco could come in, throw for 350 yards, and now you got 4 quarterbacks that you want to start next week. I have no idea what's going to happen, but
and I'm the optimist.
Look, if Josh Johnson and Mike White can do it, why can't Joe Flacco?
I'm sorry.
Maybe they're all gonna,
get to 65.
I'm tired. I don't even like. I'm sure Joe Flacco has something left in the tank, but after last season, you don't think he has anything left in? You're not sure? I just don't need to see Joe Flacco.
No,
that's just how I feel. Like anybody else, but Joe Flacco.
You are disrespecting the best quarterback on the Jets roster last year. All right, relax. Not named James Crowder. Crowder.
Did you read the story about how he also wasn't prepared? Like, how many backup veteran quarterbacks do the Jets need to have that just aren't prepared to go into games? Like, what is the point of you? Like, Mike Vick's like, oh, I didn't realize I was gonna play. You're on the roster as a backup quarterback. Like, what do you mean? Joe Flacco's like, oh, I didn't realize I was gonna play and they put me in. That's why I played bad. Like, you have one job.
He better be prepared this week.
I would definitely not like if Joe Flacco's on the television. I might have to switch red zone to the smaller. I mean, it might have to be red zone to the bigger screen and the Jets to the smaller screen if Joe Flacco is there, because then we're not in a competitive game.
Until he starts lobbing it up for Elijah Moore and a 40-yard bomb, and then you're sucked right back in.
No, I can't be sucked into the Joe Flacco zone. I can't go. I can't go that into a deep hole. And to be honest, like I know I'm optimistic. I mean, what's not to love about Mike White, right? Except for the fact that he can't throw with a numb finger. Like if you can't, I don't know. If I'm him, I can't feel my hand. I'm throwing my foot, but that's neither here nor there. I'm more worried about the defense, guys. We were, as you mentioned, Justin, like we were already subpar, but with no Marcus May, I have no idea what's going to happen with Neesman and Ashton Davis. Like, what am I going to see on Sunday with Josh Allen? Like we said, that we don't know what Josh Allen has on the run. Yeah, Stephon Diggs might have 250 yards, 3 touchdowns. Who cares what they have on the run?
Yeah, that the run defense is a major concern. The linebackers were very, very bad last week. I know CJ Mosley's been mostly good this year. He's missed a few tackles. I think he's been better, honestly, in coverage than he has in run defense. He's been inconsistent in run defense. Jared Davis hasn't done much since coming back. Part of it, I think, is scheme, especially when it comes to the defensive line. I mean, we could talk about this later. We could talk about it now too. But I think it's something a few people have talked about. But just the way that Robert Saleh has always had his defenses, it's an attacking 4-3 defense. The defensive linemen are asked to kind of attack upfield and penetrate and get pressure. And it worked early in the season. We saw it. 7 sacks against the Titans. Like, it was working. Unfortunately, teams have kind of figured it out. And in this case, they don't have a Fred Warner to lean on like Robert Saleh did in San Francisco. And they sure as hell don't have anything at safety now. So unfortunately, once that running back clears the front 4, it's anyone's guess if he's going to get stopped. So not only is the Jets run defense getting gashed, they're giving up big play after big play. We saw that last game against the Colts. The Jonathan Taylor, it was like a 60-something yard run. On that play, I counted like 5 guys that might as well have not even been on the field. Like CJ Mosley and Jared Davis took themselves out of the play. Ashton Davis took one of the worst angles I've ever seen in a professional football game. Sherrod Neesman might as well have not been on the field because he, I think, was trying to play contain, but he was like 30 yards off the ball.
The joke is that Ashton Davis is a track star and he did the hurdles, but yet he couldn't take the right angle and chase down.
Yep.
He just didn't want to get hit. And even on that goal line stop when that Mosley was quote unquote credited for, he just kind of like fell into that hole. Like he did not want to make a tackle. He's like, all right, I see a hole. He just like kind of like folded into there. It was really weird when I rewatched it. I agree with you, dude. They the linebackers and the safeties look like shells of themselves last week, and I think the linebackers will come back this week, but I don't know about the safeties, dude.
When Ashton Davis is legitimately the best safety on the Jets roster right now, and that's not good. That's really
that
bad.
Is, that tells you all. It tells you all you need to know about the Jets safeties at this point.
Yeah,
but I think the front seven will bounce back. They've been pretty decent for what I've seen for most of the year. I think last week, you're talking about a short week, you had a good outing against the Bengals. I think it was just the right mix just to get, you have Taylor, Nyheim Hines just going off for whatever they want to do. And to be honest, like the Colts expose us just by doing like easy wheel routes, easy out like drags, easy like running back out of the backfield, like dump off, check down passes. So that's where we fail as a football team. Like we can't stop the screen. We can't stop these easy dunk passes. And then that just opens up everything else for the running backs to do whatever they want on us. And once Carson Wentz was able to get that and everyone else was able to do that on us, that's where everything just started to go downhill. But I don't want to live on that sour note. Let's get ready for this week. I think for the Buffalo Bills, because they don't have a running game and now you have to rely on Josh Allen. You could even just have a spy on Josh Allen if you really want to, because I don't know who's going to run on the New York Jets on the Buffalo Bills. I think defensively, we're going to see a bounce back game for them. What do you think though, Justin? Do you think there's a chance for the Jets to really get back on track with their front seven?
I'd like to hope so. That Bills interior offensive line isn't very good. They've had a lot of issues there. I mean, Cody Ford has been a big problem for them. Ike Betker, I think is how you pronounce that name. He hasn't been very good with them. Mitch Morse has been hit or miss. Like they're susceptible in the interior. And yeah, he's been fine, but they're susceptible there. And I think if the pass rush is going to bounce back at any point, it's going to be now. We haven't heard John Franklin Myers' name much since he got that extension. I hate when people are like, oh, he just took his money. And no, that's not how that works in 99% of cases. Football players, they're trying their damnedest out there. But I think a lot of it's just been they're schemed out of it. Teams have taken advantage of the defense that we saw early in the season, and the Jets haven't been able to adapt. For as much as everyone was singing Jeff Ulbricht's praises early in the year, I'm not impressed with how he's been able to just, he hasn't been able to adapt. They're still kind of calling that same kind of attacking 4-3. Unfortunately, teams are just, they're dinking and dunking the Jets. They're not letting that pass rush get home, and they're taking advantage of the linebackers and the safeties. And that's what they've been doing, they're kind of screwed at safety. They have absolutely nothing there, like we said. But I do think that this is a week where you can see that interior pass rush bounce back, because that's really where the strength of that Jets defense is. It's Quinnen Williams inside, Sheldon Rankins, John Franklin Myers, even Foley Fatukasi. If they can get home, if they can get some pressure on Josh Allen, much like Jacksonville did last week, then maybe you could see another bad Allen performance, because that's kind of what contributed to a lot of his struggles last week. He was pressured a lot.
But they also had
really needs to get him.
They had that. I don't want to say Josh Allen because I heard that 10 million times this week. But they had some elite play on the defense. We have the capability of it. Have we really shown elite linebacker play this year at all? Like even in spurts, even in a quarter. They made good plays, but I don't have that type of confidence. The D line could get up though. I agree with you. Zach Moss being out, he hasn't practiced. Unfortunately, that's kind of a positive for us because, like Alex mentioned, that's where we get killed. When we have these like James White kickouts, every single team, that's basically what they do. Nyheim Hines, they just go to the running back and kick it out. And maybe we could stop a tight end this week. I don't know. I think Dawson Knox started practicing again, so that's not looking great. He's probably going to get a touchdown. I think Stephon Diggs will probably score. It's really going to I think depend on if Mike White can handle a shootout, because I mean, what are we gonna do? Like, can we really expect the cornerbacks to, hold? That's They've been doing way better than everybody expected, but can we expect them to, hold it down? All the safeties are whack. Like, we can't. So we're gonna have to expect some points being thrown there. And on the other side, Mike White's gonna have to kind of match it. He's gonna have to match Josh Allen somehow, some way. They have Tremaine Edwards out. He hasn't practiced yet either. That's a little bit of a positive. On our side, Vera Tucker was limited today with a toe. That'd be catastrophic, obviously. But we do have McDermott. He's going to come back to practice, which is fun. But no other really crazy things on the injury report. Some people limited here and there. I'm sure they'll be fine. I think Tevin Coleman's back, limited. That's fun. Corey Davis back. Shaq Lawson, people that missed a couple weeks. And Zach Wilson too. So let me get your initial thoughts on this. So right away, I was really frustrated with the Jets not putting Zach Wilson on the 3-week IL so that at least we can gain a roster spot. But they left him here so that he can practice. So apparently he's practicing now. And as we know, he's not going to go this week. But he's not going to have, first week first string reps. He's going to be, on the third string, I guess, or maybe Flacco's going to be taking second string. So I don't even know what Zach Wilson's really doing. How do you feel about the Jets making that move? Like just right away and like trading a 6th-round pick for Flacco?
Well, I mean, the Flacco trade is one that's going to look bad in hindsight. I don't think I know the Jets weren't expecting Mike White and on top of Mike White, Josh Johnson to play as well as they did. If they did expect that, they would have never traded for Joe Flacco. So that's one of those moves that just, they spent a 6th-round pick trying to get some extra insurance. They didn't end up needing it, but, worse things could happen than burn a 6th-round pick. Joe Douglas has had a lot of success in trades. So I'm not too concerned about that. But I'm fine with the move to not put Zach Wilson on IR. Like you said, the reason that they did it was just to get him back for that extra week of practice. They're very much taking this quarterback situation one day at a time, like legitimately one day at a time. What the situation is now could be completely different tomorrow, could be completely different by next Monday. It's impossible to predict what happens. The sense that I got from what Robert Saleh said today is that if Mike White plays well against Buffalo, he's the starter. And I'm on board with that. I understand the sentiment of, hey, play Zach Wilson, but I also think that, these players are trying to win, right? They're trying to win games. And I think you risk losing respect of the locker room if you go, well, Mike White's played really well, especially if he leads you to a competitive game you don't even have to beat the Bills. But if he plays well and you're competitive against the Bills, like you said, in, say, a shootout, right? Say they lose 35-31, right? And Mike White throws 3 touchdowns. How do you then go, well, we're going back to Zach Wilson? I don't think you can do that. And I don't think they will do that. I think they would stick with Mike White. So I'm fine with Zach Wilson getting the reps. He's taken second string reps in practice, which is interesting because Flacco is obviously going to be the backup. But from what I saw today, it was White taking first.
Wilson dude, if I see Flacco, that reiterates. If I see Flacco on my television, it has to.
He'll be on the sideline.
Yeah, that's fine.
He'll get some screen time.
That's fine. He'll give me that look.
Yep. I'm still knowing the Jets' luck. I'm still holding out hope, knock on wood, that we don't see Flacco in that game at any point because of injury. But knowing the Jets' quarterback luck they've had this year, I mean, I want to say bad luck, but it's like they've had injuries, but then the backups have come in and played very well. So is it really bad luck? I don't know.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Justin, on the whole Mike White situation, and I agree with how Robert Saleh is taking an approach. Like, if you have Mike White go for a shootout, of course you got to leave this guy in. There's no way they could say, hey, we're going to take out the guy who's been moving the ball for our offense very well, keeping us in games, to a kid that is still struggling to find his own footing and just, put us in a deficit every single week. And then we have to work our way back and hope that he figures it out in the second half. That doesn't sound, you just lose the locker room like that, because guys do enjoy winning. It's a competitive sport. You only have limited games. It's not like the NBA where you're like, all right, there's 82 chances. We can test some things over here. It's not baseball where it's 162 games. We're like, we can tinker with the lineup a little bit. We have 17 games and each game matters. So I agree with you 100%. And I don't know about you, but I'm like rooting for Mike White because obviously you see that performance against the Bengals. You're just like, hell yeah, this guy is out here doing it. You see how he moves the game against the Indianapolis Colts. Just like, what is going on here? You're just like, yeah, keep this guy going. Then if you can do this against Buffalo, who has a stingy defense, like absolutely stingy defense, that just says a lot about this kid. And I know everyone's clowning him, saying, well, he's just doing the dink and dunks. I'm like, hey, he can kind of push the ball downfield, but he's taking what the defense is giving him. That's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to just try to get the home run play, as we've been seeing from Zach Wilson. And I want both of them, I want both of them to succeed, but I think Zach needs to just watch somebody say, hey, this is what taking the defense gives you means. I don't have to roll out of the pocket, just kind of be innovative and just tell Corey Davis or whoever go downfield, we're going to get a touchdown pass right now after like 3 plays. Like, you don't have to do that. So I'm all for Mike White. I think it'd be interesting though. Like, my mind is going, where does it go at the end of the season? If Mike White performs really well, do you say, shit, like what happens next season? Like, do you keep this guy going? Like, are you saying this is our guy? We're still invested in Zach Wilson? I know this is way too, this is way too early. I know it's week to week, but that's just like where my mind is, just because look, man, we're Jets fans. We haven't had anything good. Now we see something good. I'm like, what is
Let's
this?
just cover versus the Bills.
It's fair. It's fair. It's fair because, and I think that, and I wrote an article about this recently. Cheap plug, right? Myself right there.
Plug all you want, my man. Plug all you
shout
want.
out
That's
to
what
the
we
Jet
got you here,
Press.
bro.
Of course, shout out the Jet Press, right? But people will try and make this seem like a bad thing, right? I know you saw, not to call out specific media members, but I know Adam Shine just had a thing I just saw on Twitter where he's like, oh, the Jets, they made a mistake. Zach Wilson's the third best quarterback on the roster. Clearly, they should have traded down, and he was listing off players they could have drafted. I'm like, oh my goodness. But people like that, they're going to try and make this seem like a bad thing. In no way is this a bad thing. The Jets right now have a 26-year-old quarterback who's playing very well. They have a 22-year-old quarterback with a high ceiling who was just drafted 2nd overall. You cannot spin that as a bad thing. Those are 2 premium assets. So many teams would kill to have one of those assets. The Jets have 2 of them.
Hell yeah.
So as long as Mike White continues to play well, he's an asset. And you have Zach Wilson as an asset, even if he's not playing, right? So either way, it's a good thing for the Jets. People are going to try and spin it and be like controversy. This, make it seem like, like Zach Wilson's sitting on the bench. Clearly he's a butt. No. Ignore all that stuff. The Jets are going to ignore that stuff. Hopefully Zach Wilson will ignore that stuff. And it's good. It's a good thing. Having 2 good young quarterbacks that you want to play, that's a good thing.
Absolutely. I mean, I know everyone's like trying to compare it to the Washington football team situation with RG3 and Kirk Cousins. I feel like that situation was, I feel like that was different. It's similar, but I feel like it was very different. I think when you looked at Mike Shanahan, then he was unsure of both of them and he took both of them because he was like, I need a quarterback. I don't know who's going to be good. Jets kind of fell into a situation where it's like, oh, wow, we have 2 good quarterbacks. You can even argue saying like they have 2.5. Like, not going to throw shade to Josh Johnson, but he was moving the ball really well. Like, to come in, sure, they're playing prevent defense, so it was easy. But once again, he took what the defense gave him and he was moving the ball, and that's all you want from your quarterback in that type of situation. But let's get a little bit further into this offense. Justin, who are you thinking has to? Because we know, as I pointed earlier, Bill's got a stingy defense. Where are we going in this game to get things happening on offense? Is it through the air? Is it through the running game? Like Michael Carter showing some stuff. It's not a lot of yards, but when you watch him, like he's truly like the eye test. When you watch Michael Carter, you're seeing, oh wow, he's being patient, looking for the holes. If you get him out in space, which we see Michael Ford doing right now, especially like if you just dump it off to him, like in a check down, he can utilize the space that's given to him. Where are we going with this, man? What do you see?
I'm going to be very interested to see how the Bills attack this Jets offense, because now they have essentially 2 weeks of tape on this offense, running at the level it's supposed to run at, and they've been taking what the defenses have given you, or you've given them. Like you said, Mike White did that 2 weeks ago, and then Josh Johnson did it this past week. I really want to see if they kind of force the Jets to attack them vertically, if they force Mike White to attack them vertically. And that's a very difficult thing to do. The Bills have a very, very, very talented secondary. And I think that is going to be a key to the game for the Bills. And for the Jets, from their perspective, can they do that? Because the dinks and dunks aren't always going to be there, for as good as Michael Carter has been, he's not going to I don't think he's going to have 9 catches for 90 something yards in this game, right? Like he did 2 weeks ago. I just can't see that happening. I don't think the Bills defense is going to let that happen. So I think they're going to need to win.
No, I'm just kidding.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's true. That's true. If he doesn't play, that's a big benefit. Matt Milano's still a very good player.
Yeah.
But, I think they're going to need to show that they can win vertically. And I think that comes down to, can Elijah Moore continue to play as well as he had the last couple of weeks? And can Corey Davis do something? He's probably going to return. We haven't seen him with a quarterback that's not named Zach Wilson this year, right? And obviously Wilson had a kind of a preference for Corey Davis, right? That was his go-to target early in the year. I want to see if he can do something with Mike White throwing the ball. Maybe he can win vertically, and maybe he can attack the defense.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you brought up Elijah Moore at the end there too, because when Alex was talking about the dink and dunks, that's all that was going through my head. Like, if dink and dunks means finally unlocking Elijah Moore, 3 touchdowns in 2 games, like, great, dink and dunk it until the end of the season. You know what I'm trying to say? Because everybody's unlocked. It's not just Elijah Moore, it's Michael Carter, it's obviously the quarterback. I mean, dare I say the tight ends? Even Tyler Kroft is getting in the mix here. Ryan Griffin.
Now he's on IR.
I know that's what, but I'm saying, like, he was even able to get into the mix, right? Ryan Griffin, had a sighting there at the end. Yeah. So, like,
Jameson Crowder, you're talking about dig and dunks. Jameson Crowder is a guy who can do a lot.
Yeah, he's been playing the backhand role, but like that's why I'm excited about Corey Davis, like you said. If he's able to actually make a difference, and Mike White doesn't feel obligated or pressure to force it to Corey Davis, which is exactly what you were trying to say in the nicest way possible.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Then maybe we are able to, hang with the Bills, but the Bills have really good coaches, man. Like, you're talking about tape. That's exactly what I'm worried about. They have the script, right? We had the scripted plays for that first drive for Mike White. Like, they know exactly what we're trying to do now. So I think it's going to be a good game. I think the 13 points is a little much. I'm a little I feel a little disrespected there, to be honest with you. However, if the Bills win by 37, I'm not going to be shocked at all because we have no safeties. you know what I'm trying to say? So, like, there is that part of me, right, where it's like, okay, Mike White, his hand still hurts. He tried it, didn't work out. Flacco came in, and then Josh Allen had the get right game because we have no safeties. Like, I am totally ready for that as well. So
I think you just described being a Jets fan. You're like, there's a chance we can be competitive, but we could also get blown out by 40. Like, both are possible.
Yeah. I'm not expecting a win. I'm expecting it's either plus 13, like we can hang in there for it, or like we're gonna get the doors blown off. Mm-hmm. If we win, I mean, it'll just feel like the Bengals game. And if every game is going to feel like the Bengals game, Justin, I am ready to live that life. I'm ready to expect nothing and just like win a game outright. That'd be fantastic. How do you think that Denzel Mims being out affects this team at all? With Corey Davis coming in, do you think it matters at all?
Honestly, I don't think it matters much. I don't think Mims was going to play much at all. With Corey Davis coming back, I'm not even sure if and I don't want to go back to, I'm not sure if he'd be active, but I don't think it's a guarantee he would have been active just because Corey Davis completely takes his role out of the offense, as that same type of receiver. So I don't think he's technically still can play because he's vaccinated. And if he does test negative, it's unlikely, but he still can play. But I don't expect him to, and I don't expect it to really have a big difference. Not only that, he didn't do much when he was out there, right? For all the talk about Denzel Mims earlier in the year, he got his opportunity. He played 70% of snaps, and then something like 60 this week, I think, and he didn't do much. In fact, he dropped a touchdown, right? So yeah. I think people are real, and it's fine because look, I didn't want to. I'm glad you brought it up. I know it's just, and it's I'm okay with it because I'm not happy that a second round pick is underperforming, but I'm okay with it because I think that the wide receiver on my forehead, bro.
I tattoo that on my forehead. Second round pick underperforming for the Jets. Literally,
hey, Marcus May. Marcus May broke that streak. I mean, it's kind of coming back a little bit. And then Elijah Moore,
he's not going to get a second contract.
Yeah.
Is he going to get? He's not getting a second. It's over. He's not getting a second contract.
I mean, it's because they drafted him when he was like 24 years old. He's now
Yeah, and he also has a
in
jerk
February.
agent, and then he has a DUI, and then he tore his Achilles. It's over.
Still, I think it's hard not to say Marcus May's a hit. I mean, he was a top 5 safety last year. At the very worst, he's an above average starting safety. And I'll take that as a second round pick any day, But I will give you that historically speaking, in recent years, the past 2 decades, it's been awful. It's been awful. It's been terrible.
Do you think that's the curse of like just drafting Mike Nugent?
Maybe that's probably the curse. I think that they drafted David Harris, and it was like, that's it.
Yes,
you're done for like 2 decades. You can't have anything more. I mean, they had Marcus May, that was fine. Hopefully Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore.
He's looking good, man. I'm going to ask you guys right now. Should I start Elijah Moore on my fantasy football team for this week in the flex?
Over who?
I mean, it depends who you have. We don't got to break down your whole fantasy
team. Over who?
Yeah,
I don't know if we want to do all that over who, but I don't know if I can trust. I'm hoping that the Jets are able to have an offense where you can't trust one receiver to start in a type of fantasy matchup. Like, I hope it's spread out where it's like Davis gets like 4 or 5 catches, Moore gets a couple catches, Crowder gets a couple, and it's like you're quote unquote touchdown dependent, like TD or bust, in fantasy terms.
AJ, for the Jets, would you start him over AJ Dillon?
Yeah.
My gut always says never pick the Jets fantasy player. Just because you're gonna get
Jets anything.
Like, right? That's true.
He's honestly
the Jets do anything good.
He's the only Jets fantasy player that I have because I'm like, this dude's gonna be dope in the freaking.
I have him on my dynasty team, and I benched him, and I could have won. I could have won if I started him. So
the only Jets fantasy player that I'm confident starting in most situations right now is Michael Carter. I think as a flex, he's a good player, and you can even argue he's an RB2, right? Especially how he's played the last few weeks, just because he's gonna get targets with Mike White starting. He's gonna get targets, especially if you're doing like I'm not a big fantasy guy, but if you're doing like PPR and stuff, there's your receptions right there.
I was gonna dick around and be like Elijah Vera Tucker.
I mean, he's probably their best offensive player. Is there any fantasy league out there that counter, that uses offensive linemen? I don't know. If there's not, there probably should be. Pancake blocks, sacks allowed.
That'd be awesome.
Let's get it going.
Speaking of those 2 guys, though, and since we did plug in the Jet Press, you're the head guy over there on Alex was a formerly Jet Press writer, and he's actually the one that put me on originally. So we got a little Jet Press round table going on here. And just a quick note: when I was actually in London after the game, I saw Elijah Vera Tucker and Michael Carter. I was able to talk to them for a little bit. Like, it was pretty casual. Like, after I happened to be like by their family, whatever. We're just like talking. They were really cool people, and I told them I write for the Jet Press, and they both heard of it, and they're both like, awesome. I assume clicked on it. And then I saw Gary V at the Knicks game the other day, and I told him I write for the Jet Press, and he was also familiar with it. So just kind of cool. Awesome. Like, these people, like that. Maybe it's that check mark that you don't know why it's there, but maybe maybe it helps in the long run because we have Jet fans who we know of that are also in tune. So just wanted to throw that out there.
You never know who's reading your stuff. I've been told that countless times, and it's really true. Like, you never know who's reading your stuff. I remember a few years ago I wrote something. I think I was still a contributor when I wrote it. It was about Bilal Powell, and when he was still with the Jets. I think it was when he had that neck injury, and everyone was like, "Oh, this might be career ending, or it's probably the end of his Jets career." He ended up coming back for another year. But at the time, I just kind of wrote like his legacy piece, like, the legacies he's leaving behind. And I remember his wife seeing it and like sharing it all over Facebook and being like, "Oh, this made me cry" and stuff. And I'm like, oh, like that's that. Awesome. That's why we do this. That's the reason we do it.
Awesome.
That's a fact.
And it's a humbling moment. It really is, when you realize, wow, I'm not just writing this for the ether for no one to read. People are reading our stuff, and that's pretty cool.
If it's just to let out my anger and all my feelings, it's good enough for me. Like, that's why we're here, and that's why like sometimes I just got to go on the Jet Press, and I'll submit to you a 1,500 word on why we have to beat the Falcons in London, and then we
Yep.
start out 17-0. Like I just have to let it out. You know what I mean? Like
You'll get your anger out in writing, and then so you can be all positive and optimistic after that. Like this is everything that could go wrong, but now this is everything that could go right. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh man. But getting back on track, fellas. So what are we thinking for this game? What do you think the score is going to be between the Jets and the Bills to wrap this preview up? Justin, you go first, man. You're the guest.
It's tough. It's tough, right? Because it's the Jets, right? We can't pick the Jets to do good at anything, right? We just went over that. It's a very interesting matchup. I'll say this really quick because you have kind of a situation where something has to give, right? You have, and I can't believe I'm saying this, a red hot Jets offense. I don't think I've ever said that. We're talking about the Jet Press. I don't think I've ever said those words in my time being at the Jet
red
Press.
hot Jets offense,
right?
I think actually, you know what? Got to give credit for the guy who was here for a short time. Josh McCown, he had that offense clicking way back when for a good stint, and then he got hurt, and then it's like the flame went out.
That's true. And there were a couple games with Sam Darnold back in 2019 where it was like the Cowboys game and stuff. It was the offense was clicking.
Favre had 6 touchdowns at the Cardinals. That was not that game.
Fitzmagic. First half. We had Fitzmagic. It feels like every blue moon we get somebody.
Right, Joe Namath. Joe Namath won a Super Bowl.
Exactly. That's what it sounds like. We're so sad. Just Monday Night Miracle. We got that to hang on to.
Yeah, so but sad. I mean, you legitimately have a red hot Jets offense, right? A Jets offense that's put up nearly 1,000 yards in the last 2 weeks combined, and they're going against a really, really, really good Bills defense. It's like a Bills defense that's top 3 in the league, and they're playing at an exceptional level right now. So something has to give there, just like something has to give on the other side of the ball because the Bills offense has gone ice cold. Josh Allen's coming off one of his worst games in a very, very long time. They kind of sleepwalked through that Miami game as well. They've kind of sleepwalked since coming out of the bye. That offense is kind of dormant right now. But you also have the Jets defense that is completely fallen apart, right? So something has to give there. You have a struggling offense against a struggling defense, and then you have a very good offense, or just playing very well right now, against a really, really good defense. So something has to give. And when you're in an impasse like that, my go-to is just go with the better team, go with the more talented team. So I think that the Bills will wake up this week. I think that the Jaguars game kind of made them realize, okay, well now, hey, the Patriots are breathing down our necks. They're a half game back. I believe they're a half game back in the division right now. They need to win this game. They cannot lose this game. And I think that Josh Allen's going to come out, torch the safeties, torch the linebackers. Whether he's running or whether he's throwing, I think he's getting 400 yards total, maybe about 4. That's a bit much. He'll be taken out before that happens. But let's say 300 yards.
He's not Mike White.
350 yards. Mike White too. Yeah, Mike White also throws for 300. But I think that the Bills will win this one pretty handily. And I think that the Mike White, I think Mike White will play fine. I don't think he'll look great. I think he'll look human, a lot more human than he has looked, especially just against a really good Bills defense. But again, this is the Jets we're talking about. And every single week, something happens that we're not expecting. So who knows? I'll say final score prediction, 30, 35. We'll say they hold them to 35. That's generous. 35-21. They lose by 14. Wow. They don't miss. They barely miss out on covering. That's what I'll say.
All right. I like that.
Okay. John, what about you? What do you got? What do you got for this week?
I mean, I agree with Justin's, premises. I'm going to go Bills 24, Jets 16. Like, so,
Wow.
nothing crazy. Like I think that it'll be Bills might come out a little hot at first, but I think it's going to be competitive. I really do. I think the Jets going to cover the 13. Bills have been double-digit favorites every single week. I mean, granted they covered a couple times, but I don't really see them like as this big juggernaut. I don't know. Okay. That's just me. And as an avid football fan, I noticed that Josh Allen and especially the Bills, they fall into ruts where like they get super hot or they get super cold. And it's not like they're able to like turn it up week to week. Like you said, like the Patriots, where like if the Patriots have a bad week, next week they're going to win by 55. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just know. I don't really feel that way about the Bills just yet. We'll see. I think the Jets have nothing to lose, and when you're playing with your back against the wall, kind of desperate, and with nothing to lose, like no pressure, like this is the type of game we could win. I'm not calling a win, but I'm definitely calling a cover, and I'm calling a 1-possession game.
Okay, I'm definitely up with you with the 1-possession game. I feel like we're going to see a 30-24 type of game. Bills winning though. I think I agree with you, John, where I see them being competitive. I think the Bills will probably come out hot. I think they'll probably put up some points. We'll probably stay. It will probably feel like the Bengals.
Don't tell me 17-0, bro. I'm gonna have to also set to 17-0 to myself.
I'm saying I think it will be similar to the Bengals game where we're neck and neck, but then you just start to see the Bengals go off. Obviously, the Jets come in and win that one, but I see the Bills just taking off. I see their offense slowing down in the second half, and the Jets starting to slowly work their way back. But something in Jets fashion, like a turnover, will end that and the hope of making a comeback win. So that's what I got. But Justin, you mentioned a team that I really want to talk about because I want to talk about the assholes that are the New England Patriots, especially since I live here in Boston.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Wonderful city.
I think I'd rather live in Germany watching Jets at 1 a.m. than
it's
Boston.
It's rough, it's rough. The streaming, it's rough here. But yeah, I Boston, it's a nice city, but I don't think I can live there.
To be fair, there's a good Jets bar around here. So
really,
there's a very good Jets bar. Also, when I came out here for law school, first bar I go to, classic corny name of like a bar that's been around here for a very long time. It's called the Greatest Sports Bar Ever. So I don't know if you have a title like that, it's usually not the best. We had some Bostonians. We had some Bostonians. We had some Bostonians try to heckle us to play some pool after me and my buddies just watched them like clean some other guys' clocks, and they're like, "Oh, we're not that good." I was like, "Dude, I just saw you ricochet that 8-ball off 2 walls into the pocket that you called. We're not putting money down, and we're not playing against you." But regardless, we go up to the bar. Right behind the bar, we see a picture of Joe Willie Namath. I was like, I was like, "What's going on here?" They're like,
"It's the world's greatest bar."
This is not even the Jets sports. This is not even the Jets bar. Like, there's a Jets bar, and the owner, he's like, "Yeah, the owner's a Red Sox fan, a Bruins fan, a Celtics fan, and a Jets fan." I was like, "What?"
Wow.
I was
that man must get so much shit.
And the thing is, like,
it's good to have some conflict in your life.
But
that's true. That's true.
But the thing is, it's not like some small picture, and it's a signed picture of Joe Willie Namath behind the bar. Like, it is. The thing is, like, it's bolted, so you can't take it because I can only imagine some Bostonians just like trying to go in there and go take the damn thing. But you see like a big ass picture of Joe Willie Namath, and it's just chilling there right behind the bar.
I feel like the reverse, like that flies more than the reverse would. I feel like Patriots fans don't hate Jets fans as much as the reverse, just because Patriots fans, at least new age Patriots fans, right? They kind of just see the Jets as, oh, they're the little brothers that they beat up on all the time. And, they like to make sure they know what their place is. Whereas you kind of get that little brother syndrome with the Jets, right? So if you got a New York bar, right? And you just got a Tom Brady poster or whatever, with Tom Brady at the height of Tom Brady's time with the Patriots, you have a Tom Brady poster in there or something. I think that's going to get some more looks. But then, of course, you got a two-team town, you got Jets and Giants. So,
well, listen, Justin, yeah. Listen, I mean, first of all, I understand why Patriots fans would feel that way, and all the fans, because every TV show, like I was watching Saturday Night Live, the Weekend Update, shout out the Jets. Like every time I watched any like Main Street, Ted Lasso, shout out the Jets.
We were talking about that yesterday, Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
It's a great show too, and it hurt.
Anything I watch, there's shots of the Jets. So I understand why people have that mentality, but why we hate the Patriots, dude? That stupid guy, number 12, he's still talking trash about the Jets, even though we have nothing to do with him. Asking about Aaron Rodgers and the Bears, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'd rather own the color green than the Jets." Shut up! Like that's why we hate the Patriots. They're just the worst kind of people.
That's one of many. It goes
one
back.
of many.
And you know what sucks? They're gonna win this week, and they're gonna win the division, man.
But hold on.
I hate
But hold
them
on.
so much.
But hold on. This is the thing I want to get to before we went off on a nice side tangent. What do we all think about the Mac Jones play? I just want to know, because I found that to be the dirtiest play. I feel like he should get a suspension for just a non-football move.
He thought he had the ball. He thought he had the ball.
I think it was very blatantly a dirty play. I know that he tried to make it seem like, oh, I thought he had the ball. We've seen Patriots reporters come out and say he thought he had the ball.
No,
I think that's. Yeah, and there was a reporter that said it too. There was a reporter that was like, no, he thought he had the ball.
Coach says, bro. I hate them so much.
Yeah, well,
God, I hate them so much.
The Patriots beat is very notoriously pro.
Whatever Billy B says.
They don't really criticize their team very much.
Not at all.
It's just the way it is. Very opposite the Jets beat. Very, very opposite Jets. The Jets beat ain't afraid to criticize the team. But I thought it was a dirty play. I'm not surprised that he's not going to get any kind of suspension. I definitely wish more people were talking about it. I'd like to say that I think the Aaron Rodgers stuff kind of kind of swept that under the rug because that became the big news. But honestly, I don't think people would have been talking about it regardless. I think people just kind of moved on, and it's because guys, a lot of it is because the Patriots beat, and then reporters just don't press the Patriots. They don't really press them to ask them about it. They kind of just said, "Oh, this happened." The NFL reviewed it. They're like, "Yeah, we're gonna fine him," or I think they fined him. I don't even remember. I don't even know if
did he get fined?
I don't know. I may have just made that up on the spot.
I don't even know.
Don't quote me on that. He got fined. Honestly, like I don't even know if he got fined.
I'm not a reliable source in this situation. Don't quote me on that. But he's definitely not going to get suspended, obviously. But I do think it was
like there's no repercussions. So
potential.
Every time the Patriots do something, nothing happens, including during the games. But
it was very blatant.
We don't play them anymore. They killed us twice this year. I don't have to talk about them anymore. They're going to win our division, and we might contribute to that this week when we beat the Bills.
I will be interested to see if anyone takes Brian Burns up on his offer. Where he said, free hunting or whatever he said, basically just open hunting season on Mac Jones. He said that today, I believe it was. So we'll see.
He's
he
just
basically
mad.
is like,
honestly,
hey, man, anyone want to avenge me? Go for it.
Yeah, well, he has nothing to lose by saying that. He can't get fined for somebody for another player. He has other control over them. So why not say that? And then if anyone does, I'm
sure players around the league were none too pleased about what Mac Jones.
I hope he pays their fine.
Yeah. He has a target. I'm sure he has a target on his head right now. We'll see. I mean, the NFL's rules it makes it very difficult, obviously, for a player to even touch the quarterback. But we'll see what happens. I do think it was a dirty play, and I do think that if he's not going to get suspended, he should get fined a significant amount of money, right? So more than CeeDee Lamb is getting fined for not tucking in his jersey. Right? I'll say that.
Well, to be honest with you, if the NFL doesn't fine him, it's going to be worse for him. Like if nothing happens, it's almost like baseball, where like if nothing happens, it's up to me to hit this guy with a 95-mile-per-hour pitch in order to make everything right. But if he was suspended for a game or two, then it's like, okay, it's already taken care of. He paid his dues.
Yeah.
Well, in this case, just like fine him some money. He's a rookie. So, I mean, he's a first-round pick. He doesn't care about money.
Well, this is the NFL. It is ran by Roger Goodell, and we all know that Roger Goodell is inconsistent. And it's kind of like whose line is it anyway?
Patriots.
Inconsistent is definitely the best word to describe Roger Goodell.
Yeah, it's whose line is it anyway, man. Everything's made up, and the points don't matter. So.
Oh man, I wish I had a joke. That's right. The points are like. But I don't have one right now. I've been waiting for this moment all my life.
Oh man.
But
on that note, Justin, thank you for coming on, man. Please let our listeners know where they can find you.
Of course. You can follow me on Twitter at Justin T. Freed or at the Jet Press. Generally, if I'm tweeting about the Jets, it'll be from the Jet Press account. But if you want to see me tweet about anything that's not the Jets, sometimes I'll use my personal account that is verified for some reason. I don't know why. I still have no clue why that happened.
The big editor.
It may. I don't know, man. I don't know. And if you want to read some of my stuff or anyone else at the Jet Press, go to thejetpress.com. Also, like I think Alex mentioned in the intro, if there are any Ravens fans for some reason listening to this point, have listened to the entire thing, you can also read my stuff. I cover the Ravens as well on ebonybird.com, which is another fan-sided site. So yeah, I don't think any Ravens fans are listening. And if they have, I don't think they've gotten this far. But if they
my cousin Mark's a diehard Ravens fan, so I'm getting daily updates about Duvernay. So
Lamar Jackson for MVP.
Yeah, oh my goodness. I had to mute Lamar Jackson in my phone because I was getting like his completion percentages and stuff.
Man, if you were watching Lamar Jackson every week, I can't.
I do watch him every week, and
right.
And I see him fumble on the 1 yard line, and I'm like, all right, it's fine.
Oh, man, it is after watching the Jets play football, it is a treat to watch the Ravens. I'll just say that.
I agree. They're so buttoned up on both sides of the ball. They have no dumb, like they're not going to be offsides like the Bears. I agree with you.
Yeah, that coaching staff's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh man, but thank you once again, Justin, for coming on. And I can only imagine I can only imagine just being able to cleanse the palate of watching the Jets with now watching the Baltimore Ravens. That's kind of how we feel after we watch the Jets and we get to cover the Knicks. We're like, oh wow, competitive basketball, competitive sports team.
Right, there you go.
Thank goodness for something good.
We're about to beat the the champion Bucks 2 times this week.
Yeah, be great. Let's get it going.
There you go. He's an optimist with the Knicks as well. I got it.
Oh yeah.
That's all I got left, man. It's literally all I got left.
Gotcha.
But thank you everyone for tuning in for another Jets episode of the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. Please make sure to give us a 5-star review if you listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts. But if you don't, that's okay. And I'll tell you why. We're on Spotify, Amazon Alexa, Google Play, Stitcher, you name it, we are there. On top of that, we're also on YouTube now. You're probably watching this on YouTube, so you can look at all of our beautiful faces. And if you're doing that, please make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and hit that notification bell. You want to know when all these episodes drop. Also, while you're there, we got Winning Picks Weekly, another podcast, also under the Minute Media Partnership umbrella. All right. We got John and our video producer, Greg, going through bets. Today just dropped NBA betting. So if you still have to catch up, you can go check that out real quick. Well, actually, this is coming out on Friday, so don't do that. You might have missed a time.
I mean, we might have an NBA episode by Friday. So
for sure, there actually might be an NBA episode, but there definitely will be an NFL episode. There will be an NFL episode, so definitely tune in for that. And then last but certainly not least, check out all of our social media accounts and follow us there. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. We got you covered. There. We got you covered. I changed it up on you. All right, everyone. We'll catch you later for next week to cover the breakdown of the Jets after they play the Buffalo Bills
and win. Let's go.
Whoa!